Hello everyone, welcome back. So tonight I figured I was going to go back to the material design and XAML project. Last week we looked at different ways of doing theming brushes, and I started playing around with different things inside of a demo app. Over the last week I kind of poked at the material design XAML project and started to figure out, okay, how are we going to actually do this implementation. But I figured we would continue on that and see if we can start getting in all of the useful theme brushes, since this is going to be a major refactor. Um, Part of me was somewhat tempted to say, well, we might be able to make this in a backwards compat. No. I'm going to do my best to not break people, but at the end of the day, like there's too much being changed. I don't want to gamble on saying, well, this is a backwards compatible change. We're not going to do that stuff. But before we dive in, Justin Bieber, welcome back. For anybody who didn't catch it, tonight's brain teaser. This is a simple spot the bug. So no need to write any code. This code doesn't work and throws an exception. The question is, what is the exception and why? Now, before, what I've done with these brain teasers, I threw them up at the beginning. We go back to them at the end. I'm going to do one better. Not an easy teaser. That's the point. But for people watching on stream, you're going to get a special sneak peek tonight. So I have gone through and started cataloging my brain teasers into this repository. So there's a link for anybody who wants to play with it. Probably nothing new to you, Justin Bieber, since you, I think, have caught every stream where I've done one of these. But it does have kind of a list of getting started, and then down below you'll find the actual brain teasers and spot the bug problems. So if you prefer to actually write some code, brain teasers are where it's at. If you like these kind of, hey, let's see if we can just look into it, there's a couple of these things here. I think I have another 5 or 6 queued up on tabs from my history of things that I want to put in here as well. But the short version, there's a repository here. And this one is packaging up values. So if we were to just dive into this, you'll note this is just a branch. So there's a ton of branches in here. And you'll note there's the branch with the problem, and then there's the branch with the solution. So if you want to dive in and look at it more, the packaging up value ones is where things are at. There is a hint.markdown if you need a subtle hint along the way. But then there is also the solution branch with the explanation for all of these. So, and then I decided I was going to take it a little bit further, because putting them in a repo is good. Doing a little write-up is good. But then I was like, you know what would be cool? Is if I went through and I actually made up a YouTube video for each of these. Nothing long. Most of these, like, typically I'll cover them at the end of my streams. It's, 5 minutes. Not a lot of time, but usually there's something useful. So there is an unlisted video out on my YouTube. It's not long, about a minute. Just an introduction for these brain teasers. I'm starting to record the videos for at least the ones that are up here now. More will be coming. So for those people who are watching my stream, there's the early links. Probably see at least a couple of these posted over the next week. I'm probably going to record them, post, and then leave them and kind of like trickle them out, 1 or 2 a week or something like that. And then after I get caught up, I'll put them out whenever I come up with them. Since most of the time these just come about during daily jobs or when people share them with me. So I figured, here's a fun one. We'll go and do for it. So motivation. If anybody's not following my YouTube channel, there's the link. It's one of the that one. But there it is. There is the link out to it. Brain teasers and other assorted spot the bug problems coming in. Some of them will be hard. Some of them will be easy. I thought about putting like a difficulty rating on them, and then I decided not to. Partly because the difficulty rating is really subjective. And it's really subjective based upon somebody's prior knowledge and experience. Like, you might be really high in one area and really low in another. I'm like, I don't know how to balance that stuff. So they're all just equal. But some are definitely harder than others, by virtue of some, I'm sure more people will get than others. So there's all of those. Okay. Before we get into the theme brushes, I was going to take a look at this one. So this is a bug that cropped up before. and I honestly just lost track of it because it wasn't on my radar of something broken. But there was an issue that got logged around the clear button that shows up on like your text boxes. And I think, does the pull request have a screenshot? One of these had it. It's the little X that shows up on the back side of, or on the right hand side of all your text boxes and whatnot to clear things out. But the comment was, this doesn't work with control templates. Okay, great. And the original issue poster made a call out that there was this subtle difference here when you're inside of the control template, the difference between the routed event args source and the sender of the event. These things are not actually the same object in all cases. So dealing with this situation, there was a pull request that came in that just cleanly swaps this. I suspect it works just fine, but I was going to pull this guy down. I wanted to wrap a UI test on top of this guy. Just this feels like one of those things that we're going to flip flop and break repeatedly. So let's go and do that. So I think I actually want to be on master, and or actually we can probably just push straight to the pull request. Oh, other announcement. Get Kraken 910 dropped Tuesday, Monday, this week. Came out recently. Handful of fixes and whatnot. The big announcement with it was the WSL support. So a bunch of work went into making Get Kraken on Linux work nicely. With WSL though, you probably want Get Kraken installed twice, once inside your Linux distro and once inside your Windows distro. Even though you can cross that file system boundary back and forth, there's a performance hit to it. And so it's often nicer to let Windows Get Kraken manage repos that are checked out in Windows, and Linux Get Kraken manage repos checked out inside of Linux, for what it's worth. Yeah, there was a bunch of workspace updates. DevOps workspace now get insights, and I'm trying to remember. Those were the ones that stood out to me. Okay, so let's go to town here. Okay, so there's that. Nice and rebased. And do I already have it open? Sweet. We're going to close this for now. And I think, because this guy has just one file change, internal clear text. Let's just go double check that guy. Boom. Okay, so step one, file scope the namespace because I can't resist. I know I'm going to cause myself merge conflicts later. I'm happy to deal with them. Okay, so this is fairly simple and straightforward. This is a local function inside of a command binding that's being wired up to the clear command. This is a routed command. This seems fairly simple and straightforward. Is it possible to store the repository itself on WSL Linux, install Git Kraken on Windows, and access the WSL project repository? So I am not a WSL expert, but I think the answer is no. The WSL distro can reach back across into your Windows file system by going through /mnt mount /c:/d:, whatever your drive letter is, and it can come back out, but I don't think you can go the other direction. Someone may correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know how that would get exposed out. Now, there may be some sort of config settings where you can do a mount or whatever, but typically you can't get in that way. If you want access to something that's inside your Linux distro, you usually just copy to /mnt/c/temp or whatever. That's typically, I'll go the other direction and I'll just copy the stuff out. Obviously, that's not great, especially if we're talking about like repo stuff. Yeah, I'm not aware of a way to go from Windows inside to your WSL file system. Okay, so I would like to do, let's actually just look at the bug report because I think this thing had a sample of failure. So does not work. So this is the failure case we'd like to test. Okay. So let's go write ourselves a little UI test. Because I kind of feel like I want to make sure we cover this. And I'm trying to decide the appropriate place to put the test. Normally you have tests mirror your project structure, but this is coming in from the outside and not directly related. I think what we're going to do is this. New folder, content controls. I think we're just going to do this. And I don't remember. I need this thingy. Oh, wait. There's a new thing. Whatcha? So this is in Visual Studio Preview, this add new item. So much nicer. If you hit show all templates, it takes you to ye olde view. But if you just do your new file, compact view. It also doesn't take the hit of like loading all the templates, so it's faster. And I approve of that. Control tests. And then I just want to derive from test base to make sure I pick up all my other stuff. I want to file scope the namespace because that's what we do. And then I want a constructor with the appropriate thingy in the base. I need you public because XUnit will yell if we don't. We go there, we go there, we go there. Okay. And then, no. Okay. Copilot. Wrong testing framework. Wrong testing framework. We're just going to grab one of these tests and start with that. Okay, and this was specifically issue 2510, so let's bring that in. Boom. Oh, on clear button shown. Interesting, so that was actually the on clear button. Let's do clear button. So 3 big parts to every test name. What's being tested, the conditions under which it's being tested, expected outcome. Clear button. Let's go with inside of control template. And still clear content. Boom. So we're gonna go like that. We're gonna go like that. We're gonna. Oh, did I rev these things to late it? Oh, I didn't. Didn't yet. I'm not gonna do it here. But we could use the new C# 11 string literals. That'd be really slick. Really slick right here. Not gonna do it. Might go do that upgrade here in a minute. Let's see. I need that thing. Do paste. There we are. Okay, so unindent. 2, 2, 1, 2. Okay, so that goes like that. That goes like that. That goes like that. We want this guy. The root level thing will be a content control. That's what we're creating. We're going to need the text box. We're going to need the clear button. So convenient. We grabbed a convenient one. Okay, so we're going to just clear all that garbage out. We don't need any of that. And let's actually set the text property to some text. Just to make that interesting. And then clear that out. We don't care about any of these. We don't care about any of those. Don't care about any of that. Okay, so our act portion is going to be to click the button. And then I think we're just going to assert equal on empty string of await text box get text. Something like that. Okay. Let's run it. And in theory, this should go green because the fix is in. But if as long as this goes green, what we're gonna do is undo the fix, make sure the test goes red. We're gonna do red-green testing in reverse. Green-red. That'll be more exciting. It went red. That's not right. Oh, expected empty string actual null. Interesting. Is the expected value of a text box null? I think so. Let's I want to pause this guy and just double check that. I'm a little surprised of getting null back, but not completely surprised. Actually, let's do string initial gets await text box get text. I just want to verify that we're getting the initial because we're asserting that it goes to empty. We should probably make sure that that guy got set up correctly. And I want to where is my unhook debugger? Where is the unhook debugger? Is it in the base? That's where I just was. Those are the initialize. Allow Visual Studio debugger attach. I do not wish to attach the debugger because I want to pause my test, but not pause the running app. Ugh, my chair is the little pumpy thing on my chair that keeps it up. It slowly has been going down, 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 down. And as someone who is fairly tall, I prefer to be up high. Let's see. Why I set that breakpoint. Oh, okay. Move you off to the side. Okay, so let's see. Initial. Okay. And I want to bring this guy over here. So he's on here somewhere. I just can't. I probably can't find it because I'm willing to bet the thing went to 0 width when the text got cleared. Go find it. Let's see. Oh, I actually landed right on. Oh, the whole thing is the text box. Excellent. I don't think it's going to show me null or anything fancy. Okay. And then if we step over this, got it. And actually, okay. So that's all fine. Let's do this. Let's change this up because I really don't care that much between null or empty. What I care about is that it is cleared. And let's just assert equal on some text on initial, just so that now the test should pass. Just to make sure that our precondition isn't weirded out. In general, this is kind of odd to do because this violates the rule of having a test exactly one thing. Let's see. Is that using? Okay, so there's that. Test is working. So let's go and turn the fix off. So the fix here was e.source before. And this should now fail. Good. Okay, so the test validates that it does in fact work appropriately. Wonderful. Okay, so let's check changes, view changes. Let's see, content control tests. Good. What we want. I don't really want to commit that or turn that off for now. File scope namespace, great. Adding UI test with a condition. We will commit and hopefully push. Don't have access. Disappointing. Disappointing. Well, there is more than one way to handle this. So short version is we know the PR is good. So what we're going to do is we are going to squash and merge this. We're going to mark this thing as completed. And it will go out in the 4.8 release. And then we are just going to do our own branch. Let's see. Where's create branch? Why am I blind? Create branch here. I want it to be here. Show me. There should be a new commit there. Fetch. There we are. I want to be here. Reset local. And now I want to create a branch. Add UI test. And then I want to take this little guy and I want to go cherry pick. Cherry pick. So when you cherry pick a commit, all it does is make a copy of it and replays it at this point, which is convenient because these should be in the exact same states. We don't care about that. So I'm going to delete that now that I have it. Let's see. And I don't need this remote anymore. So remove the remote. And then here, we'll just drag it onto here. Push and start pull request. Sure, I don't care. I don't really care which one it goes to. Adding UI test for, was it 25 something with a 9? 2510. For issue 2510. Wow. Hey, Kraken, I thought you would fix this. Apparently not. That's disappointing. I might have to go and log a bug. Because it has trouble when it's loading that list, and there are 3,200 forks. It's a lot. Okay, let's just validate our changes. This thing is showing, this has white space enabled, so it's showing a bunch of extra stuff here when it's really just white space. So we're going to create pull request. We're going to add it into the milestone. We're going to enable auto merge. Confirm auto merge. And that should just go now. Yeah, so if we turn on the white space, hide white space, apply and reload. There we go. Now it appropriately shows it without it being ugly. There's that. There's that. Perfect. Okay. There's all of that. It's wonderful. It's in. It's done. 4.8 is chugging along. There's a handful of pull requests that I'm probably going to aim to try to get into the 4.8 release. So specifically, Nikolai has a great fix here that I'm going to try to wait and sneak in. I was kind of holding off on doing the 4.8, somewhat intentionally dragging my feet just to see if anything else jumped in. But there was also a couple other issues that got logged that I was like, if I get motivated, we're going to go fix them. But right now, I am motivated for theme brushes. So let's talk theme brushes. Theme brushes, theme brushes, theme brushes. Okay, so the 5.0 branch is sitting out there with a bunch of the 5.0 changes in it. So, but on top of that, I've got this color thoughts thing that I've been poking at. So let's go take a look at it. I switch branches. Yeah, good. Here. Close all this. Okay, so inside of the resource gen project, one, I went through the launch settings and I started just adding in a couple more thingies, specifically this generate brushes. And if you end up looking at this code, it's a hot mess. I realize it's a hot mess. There's a reason it's sitting on a branch. I was playing. Sometimes when you're playing, you just go. So if we look at program, we come down here to brushes, you'll note that my incredible, awesome naming strategy was do stuff async. That's the level we're at. Do stuff async. I don't know why I have a record struct sitting there. That's great. Okay, and at some point I've got high hopes of like restructuring this tooling because there's tooling I want to build. Like, it seems weird, but I enjoy building tools for developers, and I'm building tools to build tools for developers. There's got to be at least one more level of recursion. I'm sure I can get 3 levels deep. Okay, so what I've got is this themecolors.json file. I've actually got a couple JSON files. But if we go looking here, so my previous attempt, there was a JSON file that looked like this. Latest attempt is a JSON file that looks like this. It's nothing fancy, but you can start to see the newer brush names. You can see that there are theme colors, and you can see that most of them are referencing colors by name rather than by exact value. There are a handful of them, though, that are still using RGB code. So the code is hip to knowing the difference between a string that starts with a pound and a string that doesn't. It's no more advanced than that. But this gives me a centralized place where I can start to define stuff out in order to build it out. And you'll note I'm also defining these obsolete keys as well. For no other reason other than this gives me a migration path, because I got going down this and I realized I'm like, I could give people a cleaner migration path. So I may not completely axe the brushes in 5.0. Not promising, may still decide to axe them. We'll see how it goes. Andrew, welcome. We're gonna do some XAML code generation, the slow old-fashioned way. Okay, and then what I did is I got a little crazy. I started going down some color theory stuff and kind of jumped in on the deep end. I jumped off the deep end, let's be honest. So if we go material design colors, color system, that's the M2. Where's the M3? Okay, so there are 2 similar and slightly, is there not a dark theme on this one? Ooh, okay. So the color system in material design is fairly well defined. They've put together a lot of information. And so I was left with this idea of going, okay, how much do we put in? And I was realizing that in Material Design 2, they had primary and secondary. And we are just now ready to have that rename happen. And I noticed that they also, on Material Design 3, have this tertiary color. And I went, dang nabbit. Dang nabbit. Do I go through and add a tertiary color to this? Do people actually want it? Like, when I added the dark and light variants to secondary, I don't know if anyone cared. I'm kind of suspecting most people don't care about a tertiary color. I'm still on the fence whether we're going to add it or not, because it seems weird to add a theme color that isn't consumed by any controls, because then I got to find a use for it. But I think my middle ground is this new way of laying out the resource dictionaries is going to allow people to add their own in. So I might just skip tertiary and tell people, if you want it, you add it. None of the built-in controls are using it. If you need it, you can slap it in and have fun. But there is this fairly nice layout in how this is going. And it's it's nice that they have this primary, secondary, and tertiary. But this other one that I wanted to call out was this neutral colors. This is where things got interesting. Where was it? Okay, this tonal palette. So this is where I don't know if this was right. I think it's right. But you'll note 0 is black, 100 is white. Okay? 0 black, 100 white. And then they break it across into 13 tones, going from all the way up. I don't fully understand this 99 to 100. I think I broke it into 12 tones rather than 13. And maybe I shouldn't do that. But what I did, themes. Was it here that I did it? I'm trying to remember. Oh no, I made an internals directory. On the news, let's see. Did you recently watch the MS conference on the new search edge built-in ChatGPT? Can you comment on that and what will happen to free search engines like DuckDuckGo that don't have AI capabilities? So I have not seen the conference, but I am aware of the update, and I did go and sign up for the preview of Bing. That's supposed to be the AI augmented version. I didn't get in yet, crossing fingers, but I did go and sign up for it because I always like playing with new stuff. I think it's a little bit of to be determined. Like I'm hoping what this ends up being is a search engine that is the Copilot equivalent, only for searching. Right? They've got some cool demos that I've seen where they show things like, oh, let's schedule my vacation, and you can have this kind of more natural language interaction, which is kind of nice. With that said, I don't think things like DuckDuckGo and whatnot are going to end up dying. So a lot of people that I know that use DuckDuckGo, their primary purpose of using it isn't because they think it gives better search results than the alternatives. They usually are using it because they like their privacy. And with things like Bing or Google, especially if you're signed in, they're tracking you. Like, and sometimes it's really painfully obvious that they're tracking you. Like, I've had my siblings send me links on Amazon. I click on it, and I open it up, and then immediately every search engine thinks that I'm now in the market for, whatever item I clicked on, rubber duckies, and now I'm getting spam for rubber duck advertisements. It's really painfully obvious. So I don't think those things would, like, I don't see something like DuckDuckGo going away because they don't have AI, because that's not people's primary motivation for using it, or at least the individuals that I know that use DuckDuckGo, their primary motivation is privacy. And it would probably take some really amazing results out of like Bing and Google to get somebody to be willing to give that up, right? Because there is a trade-off. If you aren't paying for the product, you are the product. It's generally the consensus. So yeah, I don't know if that helps that much. I will say I still like ChatGPT. I love Copilot. Side note on Copilot. If you do my brain teaser repo, don't go and turn Copilot off. Copilot blatantly cheats. It spoils the answers. It was helping me write one of the solutions. Not only did it get the solution correct, it cited the appropriate Microsoft Docs page where the answer was. I'm like, dang nabbit, you Copilot, you're ruining the ending. Stop it. It was both impressive and slightly sad all at the same time. Okay. Anyway, so I went and did this base themes color because with the idea of it being the rough equivalent, yeah, no problem. With the idea of this internal one being the rough equivalent of this tonal palette for the neutral colors. And you'll note here, you've got neutral 50. I left off, I could probably do neutral 0 and neutral like 1,000, but there's literally no difference between white 0 and white 1,000 and neutral 0 and neutral 1,000. So And I wasn't sure how to do this. So the neutral ones run with alpha set at 255 or FF, and then walk their way up in steady increments, right? And I didn't do the 95 and I didn't do the 1000. Like, again, I just picked, because I don't actually need that many. And I was kind of torn whether I should add things in that I didn't need. And in fact, I don't even think I need all of these. I think the built-in library, when I looked, is only using like 6 of these. It was like, do I need them all? I was like, I've got the values. I might as well define them for now. I might delete them later. We'll see. Until it ships, I can delete anything I want. So I did the neutral colors, and then the white and black ones, you'll note these ones are subtly different. And I wasn't sure how to handle this case because there's a lot of the built-in brushes. You'll note rather than having the alpha fixed at fully opaque, they range from completely transparent to completely opaque on the other side. And then same thing for black, because what I found was when I was looking at the brush values that were actually being used in the library, most of the brushes that were not related to one of the color themes, right? Because the color themes, you've got your primary and secondary color and variants on that, whatever. A lot of the other ones, your shadow colors, your border colors, your separator colors, all of those were either variants of white or black, depending on whether you were light or dark theme, or some variant on neutral. And so I put this together, right? And so this is just a straight resource dictionary in the repository. I put it underneath internal because technically there's not a clean way to hide exposing resources because the resources have to be available when somebody references it. So it's not like I can make them private or anything. It's like whatever. But I put them underneath an internals directory. That way, if anybody wants to reference this dictionary directly, it should be clear to them. This is something internal. Don't go too crazy. And then for the light and dark ones, what is this thing squawking about? Oh, it's just unhappy because I haven't compiled. So I poached these two classes from the Ma Apps project. So I probably need to go through and do a better job of citing exactly where I grabbed them from. But again, this was plain and just trying to get it working first. This is, oops. That's a bug. Whoopsie. Anyway, but the idea here is allowing the separation of these dictionaries. So by having a separation in the dictionary, it leaves an opportunity for somebody else to be able to inject a value. What do I mean? Let's look at the demo app. So, I fully intend to still have the default kind of bundled theme approach for doing theming, because there are some people who bring in the material design library and they just want it to drive the theming. They want to set some colors and then they don't want to think about theming. They want it to do all of the work and have it be easy. Great, got you covered. Don't panic, right? There's a middle ground where people are like, well, I want you to do some of it, but I still want to be in the driver's seat. And for those cases, I think I'm going to have to push. I don't know if I'm going to try to handle more advanced use cases with the simple one-liner, right? The simple one-liner in my mind, these are for people who just want to set it, forget it, and move on. Great. For those people who want the easy file new project use case, we'll make it easy. I'll do my best. And obviously there's the custom color one too, where you can type in your own RGB colors or whatever. But for people who want to get a little more fancy, like maybe you've got a designer on your team at the office, and you're like, well, I don't want to take your default color themes. We've got our own, design palette. I want to plug my palette in. I want you to mostly drive, but I want to override a bunch of stuff. This is where I think things are going to land. So the idea here is then you pull in the theming resource dictionaries. And this is how the theming was done in the library up until, I think, 3.8, 3.9, somewhere in that range, right before the 4.0 release, is when I brought in this simple version. But previously, this is what people ended up doing. is you had to bring in these resource dictionaries. You had to make sure you specified a light or dark theme one. And then you had to make sure that you picked on an appropriate primary and accent theme. And I'm probably going to rename these from accent to secondary as well. Just, I'm in here, I'm breaking stuff for 5.0. We're going to get all the naming to match the Google spec as close as I can come up with. Just so that because I want Google's documentation to match what's in the library to cause as little confusion. Like, there's already enough people who struggle with getting some of this stuff right. Having the names different just makes it worse. So, but this now allows for the opportunity to be able to inject your own brushes right in the middle, right? I could even go as simple as my solid color brush, or I guess I'm inside of a merge dictionary collection. I could come out here and do something like a solid color brush, X key, right? Material dot design dot background value, or not value, what am I saying? Color red, right? And if I could spell correctly, this because of the separation of the dictionaries, this now gives people an opportunity to do their own level of injection, which I think is a lot better. This is also where I would probably push people if they wanted a tertiary color as well, right? Set up your own resource dictionary with your tertiary color, apply it to whatever controls make sense. But if I don't have any built-in controls that are using it, it's probably not that valuable. And that's why I think most people haven't cared about a tertiary color in the library, is because you've got built-in styles for primary and secondary there's only some. And for the ones where it doesn't exist, it's usually a matter of setting a foreground or a background brush and you're done. Not exactly a heavy lift. So, but that is where that lands. And so what I was then doing is on all of these guys here, it's generating out all of the new brushes. And you'll note it's taking these brushes and referencing these resource keys to be able to go back, right? Giving it a little bit of control over where things end up. There are a few things that are still hard-coded, and I haven't quite decided. I think what I'm going to push for is evaluating some of these brushes to move them, because I've already taken some of the brushes that were previously defined and shifted them a little bit, either a little darker or a little lighter, so that they land on those nice shared resources. Because there was a lot of resources where they were only differing by a few points on the RGB, and I put them side by side and I'm going, there is not that big of a difference. I highly doubt anyone's going to notice. So I was like, we're just going to go for it. So the other thing that I did is I was like, well, if I've already got the old brushes, right, for my JSON thing, I've got the old names, I can kind of just forward those things through to the new brush name for you. What I will probably end up doing instead is, rather than having this inside of this resource dictionary, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a additional resource dictionary, because you only need this if you're using these brush names inside of your app, which is possible. Like, it's fairly common for people to do. So if you're using these brush names inside your app and you don't want to go through the pain of doing the rename, what I think my solution is going to be is to add in an additional resource dictionary that's like obsolete brush keys or something like that. So then you would end up in your app, you do something like material design, obsolete brushes, right? So you would add something like this into your app, and then you would also get this thing here. So ideally, I convince people to upgrade. And the fact that I call it something like obsolete brushes hopefully strongly hints to people, this is going away. Please migrate at some point. But I realize some people can't migrate willy-nilly, right? Especially if you've got maybe a massive app with hundreds or thousands of these things scattered. Even if I tell you the find and replace to do, that's still a big change. And, you know, if you make a big change to your app, sometimes that has ramifications for testing and all of this for a rollout. That's not always easy. I get it, right? Totally get it. So I figured I would at least try to give people a shim to get them through. but with the understanding that that shim is like it's not going to pick up the new stuff. You're going to be kind of hard limited. I'm not adding old shim brushes there, so plan on updating, please, at some point. But I figured that would at least make the migration path a little bit simpler for people. So, but for now, I dropped them straight in. Now, in doing that, what this means is I have gone through and changed a bunch of brushes. So if we look at, what did I do here? I changed a bunch of stuff. Yeah, I want that. Don't care about that. I want that. Yeah, sure, whatever. Stage all. So I want to do this really quick. So I want to squash all 4 of these commits. Because I want to show the results of running these. So if we go in here and look, so here's your light and dark themes. Massive changes because of those brushes, right? Oh, look at that. There's the obsolete brushes. Still hanging out there. So I got to figure out what I'm doing with that. But here, you'll note, 150 files changed. This is going to be a small commit. Small, itty bitty little commit. But you'll note a lot of these are just formatting changes because Kevin had incorrectly formatted these files before. Oops. They go back to that. But this goes through and changes out all of the, or adds in all of the primary brushes and brings all of those through. And then does the same thing for all of the accent ones. So I've got this thing in a state where I should be running again. And I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, this works. But my goal is to get it to the point where this resource generator app basically does most of the work for me. And ideally generates me my deltas. As you can see, it blows up immediately and dies because that is what resource reference expression. I wonder if that dynamic change that I did is what's breaking me. Hang on, I have a suspicion. I have a small suspicion. Don't do this. This is bad. What we're gonna see here, if I was right. The convenient part is because yeah, okay, so there it's in, there it works. Color tool. You can see we've got all of this in and going, but this is in and working by virtue of the fact that the brushes are all the old keys are still working there, which is both good and terrifying, right? Because I think buttons is a good example of showing off all of them. Yeah. So we're in a working state with all of the resources. And I think what I would like to do is I think I want to kill off this dynamic one. So I think knowing that this is just static, not dynamic, we're gonna just burn this down to begin with. And then let's go back and we need to do the resource gen brushes because all of this just needs to be, this needs to become static. This needs to be static. That goes like that. That goes like that. That goes like that. I really need to clean a bunch of this code up. But right now we're just interested in Go. Let's clean this up too. Explicit type while we're in here. Numerable empty. Fix the null case, handle the null case. And use explicit type, that's fine. So Visual Studio Preview, you'll know preview build. They added the new spell checker, which as somebody who can't spell to save his life, I love the spell checker. I'm very much on the fence because it doesn't have, or doesn't appear to have, a ton of functionality. Like there's various other extensions that exist for spell checking in code that have existed for a long time. And really my only options are telling it to ignore or disable or rename. Like these are, yeah, I'm not renaming it with a hyphen. What I will do though to make the spell checker shut up, I will capitalize it to make it happy. Like on one hand, I will say it has saved me a lot of embarrassment of typoing words. On the other hand, I kind of want it to go away most of the time. Okay, resource gen brushes, here we go. And this should make a mess of all of my resource dictionaries. Done. View changes. Yeah, there we go. So it made a mess of all the resource dictionaries. Redid them all. Excellent. Okay, so that goes like that. That goes like that. Now, one of the other things I would love to do is have this thing audit old brush to new brush. We're going to do that at a later point because I do want an audit of all of the old brush colors and what the new ones are and any of them that aren't exact matches, because I kind of hand did a bunch of them by just looking at them, and that's not a great way of doing this. Stream implements, disposable async, we'll just jump into that. Okay, I don't know if I need any of this stuff anymore. This is all, I think, dead code. Okay. Okay, and this brush tree is around building some code that we don't have yet. And brush is old as the old JSON spec format that I wrote. I don't think I need it yet, but we're gonna just leave it for now. Okay, so that handles that. That handles that. Let's look at changing over all of my brushes, I think. Well, let's make sure the app fires up still. I'm trying to keep this thing in a workable state as much as possible so that I don't end up, I don't want to get into a situation where it's broken for days and then Kevin forgets what he was doing. That happens a lot. I don't like to admit it, but it happens a lot. Okay, so that works. Okay, probably good enough. I typically go to the buttons page because I know that it exercises a lot of the brushes, because there's a lot of different theme brushes being used across all of these templates here. So it works out really well as a reasonable test. The ripple works. Cool. Cool. Okay, so that worked there. If we drop the, I kind of want to change up and drop. So the accent and primary ones are being done like this. I kind of want to move these into their own obsolete brushes. I think that's what I want. I'm just going to double check these. So where did we put that obsoletes one? Because I would like it generated if it's not. Dark light, obsolete. This is not good. I don't want this. What I really want to do is these into an obsolete brushes and forward it on. Where is... I think I want to just put them all in one, don't I? I think that's what I want to do. And by all in one, I'm referring to the primary brushes, the secondary brushes, because right now those ones are generated separately from the, we'll call it neutral light dark theme brushes. And I'm wondering if I want to pull those in. I should probably flatten how this is being done. I could probably just do this in one shot, though. That might be easier. Since primary and second... actually, we should rename this to secondary soonish. This guy, yeah. Let's go back. I don't know why I added that obsoletes one and did it so dumb-like. Let's change that. I don't want it called obsolete. I want it called obsolete brushes. I want it to be clear what's in it. You aren't getting like obsolete themes or anything. Do that. Okay, so we're gonna go like that. I think we're gonna do a couple things. I'm gonna pull you out. That. And I'm gonna just whack all of this. You all go away. Okay. There's that one. And then I want to grab the secondary ones as well. These are the ones that existed prior. So anybody who was using these, they should already be familiar with these. Okay, so those go there, those go there. How is it populating with a color here? How do it know a color? A little confused how it was able to do that, but okay. Okay. You don't have a app.xaml in here. I don't know how you're resolving. Huh. Okay. I've already got a targets file. Forgot about that. We may need that later. Okay, so we put these here, and what I would like to do is I want my code generation to inject, rather than putting the obsolete brushes alongside the dark and light like it did here, I want it to do this mess in the other file. I think is what we want. Yeah, I think that's what we want to do. I'm just trying to decide the best way to go through and do it. Because this isn't a... Let's do... well, okay, so here, I think what we should do is we should bring copy, paste. Now, there's a dirty trick that's happening in this resource gen one. I've got this little guy here. So any XAML file in this project isn't treated normally. It's treated as a none, which means do nothing with it. Yeah, files that should have no role in the build process. And instead, we just copy it to the output directory. And the preserve newest is the copy of newer. Just means that I can now read this guy in And then I think what we can do is I think I'm just going to go. I'm going to do that. I mean, I could get fancy with like X document, but really, we don't need it to be complicated. It does not need to be complicated. What I do need to do though, push you, is I need to grab this guy here. I would like that to be added as well. Stop treating it like a real resource dictionary. You're fine. And then I would like to grab this guy. And I'd like to go here and paste that for the moment. I think what we're going to do is this maneuver. Paste. Paste. That gets the key in there. And then we want to do this. Just do a search and replace, becomes resource key equals quote. Yeah, we're gonna do this by hand. It's not worth the regex. I get too carried away sometimes doing regexy stuff when brute force when there's only what 6 or I can't count 8 items. Counting's hard. Okay, so we're gonna go there, 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 there. Okay, so that's gonna go like that. That's gonna go like that. This will forward. Okay, because what I want to do is gen all these dictionaries, bring in the obsolete brushes one, and make sure the app still works. That's the goal. That is the goal. Okay, so that's going to go there. That's going to go there. I want to bring you in. No, give me your file name. That's all I want. Thank you. Shut up. Go away. Okay. And let's make a second method. Something about generate about obsolete brush. And this is going to be brushes repo root. There, something like that. And then we're actually going to end up doing a bunch of similar stuff. So we're just going to copy this guy and then tweak it. Copy, paste, grab you, paste, and we don't need this weird syntax here with the nested bits because we're not going to share anything. We're generating one file. Okay. Step 1, open file. This guy is going to go here. This guy goes here. And this becomes that guy. Okay. Are you seriously going to try to autocomplete this for me? No, that's way wrong. Okay. For reference, this syntax here that you're seeing with these triple quotes, this was the new C#11 string. What do they call it? String literals, multi-line string literals. Here, strings is how they're referred to in a lot of other languages. But they, the key thing here is you put in 3 or more quotes, and then everything between them is taken as a literal string, very similar to when you did the at sign at the beginning. The big difference is these closing quotes here define an indent level. So all of this white space that's off to the left gets trimmed off. So the compiler knows, based upon the presence of these 3 guys here, where how much white space should be trimmed off. And if you do something like this where you back it up before it, you end up with a compiler because the compiler goes, I can't trim off negative amounts of white space. So very, very slick and clever. And you can actually do fancy things like this, where like especially when in WPF, if you're dealing with curly braces for markup extensions, if you still want to do interpolation, if you have a single dollar sign, which this dollar sign is meaningless, we're just going to whack it. If you want to do interpolation, a single dollar sign would tell it that single curly braces are things. But if you want to be able to escape them, you can just start adding dollar signs, right? And the key thing is the number of dollar signs in front of it tells it how many curly braces represent string interpolation. So if you're doing things like JSON as well, this makes for a nice, easy way of doing it. And yes, it's one or more. So you can do 12 of them if you want. Don't. No one will want to read your code. That is bad. If you get more than 3 or 4, you've probably gone off the deep end and you're off in the weeds somewhere, and you should have a really good justification for it. So far, my usage is, I don't know if I've gone past 2. It's rare. I could see there's a couple syntaxes where I know that there's like templating language like Mustache, where I've seen them use the double curly braces. So I could see if maybe you're building a string for a templating language, you might need a few extra. Like I don't doubt there's some cases like that. But again, if you get past 3 or 4, you better have a pretty good explanation as to why you're doing that, beyond just trying to like draw emojis with your coding syntax, which is no less cool. Okay. So all of this, we want to, this is what we're going to write, but I think what we are missing, so one, we're going to do this, reader. We don't want to read any of that garbage. We just want to grab the one that's going to be copied to our output directory. So we're going to do that. We don't need interpolation here, so that dollar sign goes away. Okay, and then we are going to end up clearing some of this stuff. So string existing gets reader dot, or maybe we should wait to do the reader until the very end. So I'm thinking what we might do is we might just do a string builder and then dump it in at the very end. So let's move this down. That way we don't accidentally use it before it's time. How about string builder brushes gets new. What's that? How about output? Because brushes is being used all over the place. Okay, so we have this right brush thing, which is local function defined here. String builder. And line. Oh, love it, love it, love it, love it. Do that. Oh, yes. Telecode, you are on point tonight. You win a cookie. Okay, so I don't think really what we want is this for loop, not the other one. Because this is the one that's going through the obsolete ones. Theme values, value. I don't know if we even care about value. Is value even being used? Now I gotta go back and look. I have a feeling I have the copy and paste here. Is value actually being used? No. That's just dumb. Do that. Okay, so we just want this, and we want this to be output. I want you to be, oh, I missed it, thank you. And line. We can get rid of all of this garbage. Okay, so we've got a string builder with a bunch of lines in it. Some indented strings. Huzzah, huzzah, huzzah. Okay, so we're going to do reader. Reader. What? Oh, it's because I called it reader and still left it declared stream writer. That will not read. Read end. We're not in an async method. I don't feel like making it async. Yada yada yada. Actually, I guess we could make it async. Thinking. Nah, I'm not gonna worry about it. Console app. String listing dictionary. Regex replace. Oh, we could do the new regex. Let's do the new regex. This would be a cool time to show it off. Okay. Yes. Let's see. It is private regex replace template place regex. That, trying to remember the magical syntax. So oh, I can't remember how I, hang on. Yeah, we're gonna go look this up because I can't remember it. C#11, or no, it's not C#11. Net 7 regex generator. This guy. Everybody cares. There's a link. Let's see. Regex performance improvements, vectorization. This isn't it. I'm looking for the attribute. Show me your generated attributes. This is details. This is too low a detail. That's nice. Short version, they made regex faster. Which is awesome. Like, some of these performance benchmarks are ridiculous. Like, a couple orders of magnitude level different. Like, yeah, source generator. This thingy. I'm trying to remember the magical. That's right. Private static partial. Okay. Got it. Let's see. Template place regex. Okay, and the regex that I would like it to match. Oh, this needs to be a partial class because this is going to trigger a source generator to implement this method in a partial for us. And the regex that it generates, oh, heck, I'll just show you here in a second. I will just show it in a minute. So this is the thing we want to hunt. Let's go here. I'm going to slap that in. Oh, paste. Too many times. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so let's go and look at, if we go dependencies, analyzers, let's see, JSON, regular expression generator. This guy. This is the guy. Okay, so we don't care about that one. So this guy here, regular expression generator. So first thing to call out, it's using the new file scope types, which is cool. Where is the template replace regex? So this is our guy here. You'll note this is the pattern. And it goes through, and rather than parsing the regular expression at runtime, so parsing this string, converting it into a regex so that it can do the, I believe the term is finite state automata, FSA. So when it's walking through the string, how it's doing the matching. Rather than doing that parsing at runtime, the generator generates out a method that simply returns it back. Now, where's the partial on? Should be a partial on brushes. Here. So this guy, this method here is the implementation of our method. And you'll note this guy here is just calling into template replace regex _1 dot instance. So it's actually built up this little guy here. And on the runner, it's literally, this is the that state machine where it's walking through, where it's parsing the string one by one. So rather than it trying to do something generic, it just literally generates the method with what is needed to do that regex matching internally for you. Like, this is awesome. Straight up. Like, on one hand, it's cool. There's performance gains, yada, 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 yada. That's cool. What's even cooler, in my opinion, is it actually gives you XML docs for your regex. Now, this one's kind of boring because it's just straight up this, but say there was a pipe in the middle of this, right? If we look at the compiled thing, it now has parsed that and figured out, oh, okay, in regex, pipe is an OR condition. Let me make a nice nested bulleted list showing you how this is going to be parsed. And it does the same thing with groupings and character groups and all that stuff. That is awesome, right? The fact that it's faster and prettier and all that, that's bonus. This, because the old joke goes, you solve a problem with regex, now you have two problems. Part of the reason why regex gets such a bad name is because you can do a lot of really complicated stuff with just a few characters that no one can read. This makes it readable. This is pretty cool. So I love the XML doc generation on this. In our case, we're literally just doing a straight up find replace. Did we need a regex for this? Could we have done a string replace? Absolutely. Where is the fun in that? Okay, so let's see. So we've read it in. We want the template replace regex, replace existing dictionary with the replacement is going to be output to string, and then we would like to not do all of this garbage. We would like to do writer write. We should actually store this string dictionary contents. Sure. Then we're gonna write it. Boom. Bippity boppity booyah. Okay. That's going to do that. That's going to do that. And then what I want to do here is on this resource dictionary, I want to stop doing this. I don't want them to exist there. Let's gen some stuff. Gen the brushes. Of course, there's compile errors. Why do you think you should be... I'm still confused why this thing is not treating the... Okay. This guy here. If we go properties and we look. Oh, it's being type page. That's why it's parsing it. Oh, see, it tried to be helpful. It tried to be helpful. This is not helpful. Leave it in the none group. There. Are you now back in the none group? Build action none. Good. What I expect. Okay. Now, of course, it's not going to work if you parse it. Okay, so that ran. Just double check what we have in like our light and dark themes. Okay. All new brushes, none of the old. I approve. Okay. That goes there. Let's look at the obsolete thingy-mabobber. Looks roughly like I would expect, aside from the fact it's indented to there, and I know why. It's because it matched on the comment, but didn't pick up from the beginning of the string. So we're gonna go match from beginning of string, white space, any number of repetitions. Oh, and we'll do that. Look, syntax highlighted. Mwah! We can check our thing here. Match if at the beginning of the string. Perfect, that's what we would like. Match a word or character automatically at least once. Oops, that's not what we want. We don't want a word character, we want a white space character. Match a white space character atomically at least once. We don't want at least once. Any number is fine. See, this is gold. Regex gold. Love this thing. Like, again, I'm very happy Microsoft made regex faster and all that. That's good. The fact that they gave me this is gold. Okay, let's try this one more time. All that to get rid of some white space characters. Okay, so now you should look like something that didn't get matched. Excellent, excellent, excellent. This way I won't need ChatGPT to explain regexes for me. Oh. Though that's not a bad use of it, I will say. I've played around with doing it. There are some things ChatGPT is really good for. I personally do not like writing PowerShell scripts, and I am constantly going, wait, how do I do this in PowerShell? And you can ask ChatGPT, and it'll very confidently write PowerShell for you. About 50% of the time it's wrong and straight up recommends things that don't even make sense, but it confidently communicates the answer. And usually it gives me enough of the magical keywords that I can go and figure out what I actually need. Because sometimes I just don't know, like I don't know what to put into the search engine. It's like, help, I'm stuck. I don't know the magical keywords to tell Bing to give me the answer. And ChatGPT can at least give me the magical Bing keywords, which is what makes me excited about AI influenced search engines a little bit. Like something that can bridge that gap of me needing to go, I don't know the right word, find the right word, here's the answer. Like that, being able to do the double hop, that's kind of cool. Okay, so what did we do wrong here? So we matched at the beginning of the line, white space, any number of repetitions. Oh, is it because it's a multi-line and I need it to do regex options single line? Is that the... can't let's... I think that's what I want. I really should just leave this dictionary file open. Nope. Okay, so multi-line, right? I always get these two backwards. There we go. There we go. Okay, so now we've got an obsolete brushes dictionary. It's got all my obsolete brushes. I may put an extra new line character in the original, just to make that look a little prettier. Oh, interesting. There is one. Oh, it ended up matching them. Because the backslash S. Huh. I think what I want is that. There's a way to tell it to not be greedy. Thought it was a question mark on the end of it. Whatever. I'm not worried. It's a white space character. It's not a big deal. Okay. So I've got these. I've got those. Okay. So now if I go back to my demo app, what I expect to be able to do, not that, here. I expect to be able to add in this, and I expect to be able to do, oh, not this. I expect to be able to do this and go obsolete brushes. And I should pick up my brushes. That's what I want. Okay? With any luck, this just works. About to find out. Because now the light theme does not have the old brushes. It only has the new ones. So I expect this to work, and then I expect to delete that line and have everything just go to crap. Okay, perfect. Okay, now if I delete the obsolete brushes. This, everything should just die. Resource not found errors left and right. Because none of those things should have any of the old brush names left in them. Perfect. Through an exception. Could not locate required resource. Material design background. Mwah! That's what we want. Death and destruction. Okay, perfect. Okay, so now we've got a migration path. Now, what I would like to do is to slowly start beating the library into submission such that I can then get rid of that line. That's the goal. Because I think that will be the desired end state. The other thing is I will want to get this going there. So let's come back here. Adding in obsolete brushes dictionary. This should make a better migration. I'm typing behind my head. I need to stop doing that. I'm sorry. This should make for a better migration path. Normally we check our commit. This is on my branch. There's going to be, I'm going to have to do a big review of it before I do it anyway. Something force push. Yep, I squashed my commits, which is why it's prompting me. Okay, cool. And my UI test one merged because of autocomplete. Huzzah. Boom. Let's advance my master pointer. Back. Oh, probably shouldn't have done that while I was in the middle of running things. I'm sorry, Get Kraken. I didn't mean to anger you. Stop it. Go back to my other branch. Yeah, okay, Visual Studio. Let go of the file handles. Let go of the bloody file handles. Switch branches. Thank you. Now we reopen Visual Studio. While we wait for it to open, quick flash of tonight's brain teaser for those people who want to play with it. For anyone who wants to play. Okay. So that gets us there. The next question to solve is doing the theme changes. So I like the resource dictionary setup that we've got going on here. Actually, maybe we should do the rename first. Kill the word accent off. That's probably a good idea. Let's go here. Yeah, so anybody migrating, let's do this. For anyone migrating, or anyone migrating, not wanting to update brushes. And the other thing too is if people don't want to bring in this whole resource dictionary, you can just copy its contents, only include the ones that you care about in your own resource dictionary, delete the rest. Huzzah. You're off to the races. Okay. Right, we were going to kill off the word accent everywhere in favor of secondary. So what are we talking about here? There's some stuff there. There's some stuff there. There's some stuff there. There's some stuff there. Yeah, because I want to get the Ma app stuff cleaned up as well. Because we've got some theming issues there, and I think we can do better. I think we can do a lot better. So we're going to ignore that for the moment. Yeah, so not that many. Though there is a lot of... There is a lot of styles using it. Maybe I shouldn't bite this off at this exact moment. I'm going to go log an item though for it real quick. In here, breaking 5.0 changes. Nope, not the theme blush rename. This one. Add a new item to this. Let's see. Rename all styles and brushes that in the word accent to be secondary. And some of these I may even try to sneak in the 4.8 release. Actually, that's not a bad idea. We could go do that now. Have been replaced with secondary. Okay, so I think what we might do, let's go do a quick migration of the styles, because we can do a migration path there and get people off to the races. What's going on here? Sure. So let's back up here and let's create a branch. Rename accent. Okay, so what we are going to do here is repeat the find. And I want to hunt all instances because I don't want to replace brushes here. But what I would like to do is find styles that have the word accent in them and start changing them. We'll deal with some demo app stuff in a minute. But I'm more interested in chasing some of these. So we're not going to deal with this because if I change, do I change any of this stuff? I don't think I want to change these. These can die later. We're going to ignore swatch provider. Oh, if I change these, we're going to do this. We're going to do that because that's about to become relevant. Actually, this shouldn't matter because we aren't going to we're only changing themes, not colors or swatches. Yep, as much as I want to change those, I'm not going to touch the color resource dictionaries. Where are they all? Come on. Scroll. This is... Wow. Okay. That's an accent. Are they... Wow, are these all really... No, we just saw some that were inside of styles. Not going to touch the theming. Not touching the theming. These ones. These are the ones I want to change. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so here we go. So what we do, in order to not break anybody, we're going to do this. Down here, collapse. So we create a new style with the same key, like this. I'll leave you alone for the moment. We change you secondary. We do you based on static resource. We just do this. That way, anybody using the old name still works, but now we provide a migration path. All right, so that handles one. What are you doing? the wrong thing. Come on. Let's see, and I want you to go to the bottom and be flagged as obsolete. Okay, and then we do the same thing here. We're gonna just copy this line down to the bottom. Do this. Do this. Kind of just guess our way through the name based on static resource. Secondary. And we come here and go back to the top. Paste. Okay, that handles toggle button. And now we're going to do the same thing on all of these. Raised accent button. This is already being done. Oh, the other one I forgot to set target type. I should probably be doing that. Confirm. Okay. Those are both fine. This is already set to be removed. So maybe I should keep them together. That should be flagged as obsolete. So let's go and move those other ones back next to their friends. The presence of the obsolete is how I've been hunting the things to delete. As long as I leave the comment in place, it should be easy hunting. We're going to add them all here, and then I'm going to rebase the 5.0 branch and then promptly go delete them. So that'll be exciting. Spend a bunch of time adding them just so that I can delete them. Okay, so that's obsolete. That one's already done. Obsolete. 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 That cleans those ones up. And let's just continue down our fun path here. And then we will do based on, and you become secondary, delete, and then we'll clear them all up. It's telling me that there's probably a regex way of solving this problem, which both makes me excited and terrified all at the same time. Did I put the other one? I did not put obsolete on it. That's a mistake. Did do that one. Obsolete on the wrong one. That's why it looks funny. Now, IntelliCode, I'm a little disappointed you haven't automatically started replacing all of these for me. Kind of expected better from you. Let's see, while we're up here. Secondary. Copy. So I don't know if people caught that. So multiple clipboards. So if I bring this guy back over here. So Windows key V. Paste that in. Windows key V. Paste in the new name. Oop, only paste it once though. So without regex, multiple clipboards saves me a little bit of time. Let's see. So we're going to go copy the style, do the rename, copy the new name, collapse, and then we will do obsolete. Then we'll go Windows key V, paste in the style, self-close it, Windows key V, paste in the key. Good. Wait, what? This key is already defined in the scope. What? Oh, it's because I put it in the wrong place. That's supposed to remain there. That goes there. Okay. Minor snafu. Okay. Once again, when we may just do it all here because there's no reason to not. Self-close. Obsolete. Then we'll make you secondary. Change the based on. What's that? Update you to use the new one. Let's see. Copy. Rename you to secondary. Copy the new name. Collapse. Style. Or, I'm sorry. Paste. I just flatten you out real quick. Based on new name, self-close, flag is obsolete. Does that. You to be there. Okay, gonna be a real short one. Let's see here. And I want you to be secondary, copy, paste. I want that. Self-close. Delete. Boom. Let's see here. This one here becomes secondary. And we're just gonna copy secondary, collapse, delete, and then paste that. Sorry, this is one of those areas where I'm trying to be mildly focused on what I'm doing, only because I want to double check this. I wish there was a good way of making sure that we didn't mess any of these up. Problem is there's not a clean way of handling that. Honestly, the easiest way for me to go through and validate that none of these things broke anything will be to fire up the demo app and just click through every single one of the pages. It's really monotonous. Let's see. Especially for things like this that have about 50 billion of them. I mean, that's a small exaggeration. Quite 50 billion. I hope. Let's see. Based on static. Come on. Don't help me. Let's see. I want you to be secondary. I want you to go there. Boom, boom. Delete. Let's see here. Secondary. This is going to be so many styles. So many styles. Be a little surprised if I don't mess anything up here. Let's see here. So let's see. Self-close to make sure we don't accidentally pick up anything extra. Base U on there. Should become collapse that. Copy. Oh, it's just being dumb on its indentation. That's all it is. Okay. Delete. Let's see. Secondary. Boom. Like that. That goes like that. Secondary. Let's see here. Boom. Delete. And self-close. And you become secondary. Based on there. Just a usage. Good flip to secondary. Oy vey. Now, conveniently, most of these are not that bad. Obsolete. And then this becomes secondary. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through the demo app once without touching it to make sure everything continues to work, because that will be a sample of what existing people's apps will look like. And then I'm going to do the rename of the styles inside of it. There's a dream app that me and a buddy were discussing building at some point. The idea would be an auto updater for libraries, because as the library author, especially for things like this, on an upgrade, I often know exactly the change that people need to make inside of their app. Sometimes there can be a lot. It's just a pain in the butt to do. And the idea would be a little app that could run alongside when you do a NuGet restore. And library authors could effectively have patches that would go along with their NuGet packages, so that when you installed an update, this additional tool could look at the upgrade package and then apply the appropriate changes to your repository for you. Obviously, it would be an extra tool. You would basically have to opt into having it used, because you don't want to install a NuGet package and then all of a sudden have a bunch of code get changed. That's not really what you want. And obviously, source control is your friend, because migration packages could only be a best guess in a lot of cases, even with source analyzers and that kind of thing. It's going to be only 90% good, but a 90% good solution on a migration is probably our theory is that it would be worth it to people. So at some point, I keep toying with the idea of building it. I've got a private repo with a spec that I started to put together, trying to figure out like how would this even work, right? Because the tool kind of has to know the library version you came from, the version you're going to. It has to have some sort of repository or maybe something inside of the NuGet package so that it knows what the migration packages look like. You might want to be able to release the migration packages independent of your actual NuGet. So there's all these questions in my mind about how would you do that? So, and then more importantly, would you want to allow somebody to offer a migration package who wasn't the library author? Right? The idea of being able to say, well, this is a community migration, which doesn't sound terrible until you realize that it would be a tool that effectively would allow somebody to execute replacements on your code base, which is ripe for abuse. So my initial thought on that was to just, if there was something that the library authors had to put inside of their NuGet package, it shifts the blame. Because then it's no longer my tool's problem to figure out, well, is this okay? It's in the NuGet package, which means if in order for that to happen, somebody would have to compromise your NuGet package. At that point, all bets are off anyway. Okay, so that's the end of it. Let's see if the demo app works. And I'm going to be really shocked if I didn't break anything. Specifically around lists. I guess we don't have to necessarily test all pages. There's only a handful of them that absolutely need to be tested. Toggle buttons, button, checkbox. Button loaded. Okay. Fields is the one with checkboxes in them. I think they, checkboxes are under toggles. Okay. Buttons, checkboxes. Let's do list box next. Well, the one that was kicking my butt. Oh, is this a read-only one? Oh, show selection false. That would be why I'm not seeing any selection. Okay. That seems fine. Pop-up box, we kind of already did with button, but let's actually go click on one. Let's see, pop-up box. Whoop, whoop. Okay, those seem fine. Radio button. I think we already checked that with the toggles, but let's... Yeah. Seems fine. And toggle button is the last one, which is all these various flavors of toggling. Okay. That's creepily awesome that we didn't break any of them. That is really awesome. Okay. So let's go back here real quick to demo app and take a quick gander at what all needs to be changed inside of there to make it work. Let's see, flatten colors, we don't care. What I am interested in is main demo. Bum, bum, bum. Let's see here. That is a bad tooltip. We're going to fix that straight up anyway. Let's see here. Secondary. I do also have this dream of building out a slightly better demo app. The community toolkit, and I've seen other libraries do this as well, where rather than showing a page with all of the controls on there, which is nice, have a page that shows effectively one control at a time, but then give kind of like an edit property, kind of like a properties panel, right? Where you see one control at a time, but then you've got all of the things you can tweak on that control to kind of play around with it. I've been toying with the idea of how to go about doing that. Just to try to make it a little bit cleaner. Why are the styles names changed? Great question. So the accent name is an artifact of the old material design spec. So the newer one is switching from the to primary, secondary, and tertiary. We don't have tertiary implemented. So in the 4.8 release, accent is going to be deprecated. Now it's not being deleted. With this PR here, I'm still leaving the accent styles in place. I am just where's bad example? Go down to here. I'm just creating a secondary one. I'll leave the accent one still there, but forward it onto the secondary one. So with 5x, the intent will be to delete them, but at least this way people can take it slower rather than trying to ingest it all at once. Which is the only reason I want to get this one in earlier for 4.8. So the short answer to your question is to match the Google Material Design naming scheme. That way, when people look at their docs and they look at these ones, the names line up. Because as much as possible, I do try to it. Wasn't it initially primary, secondary, and changed back? No, it was. I think when I took over, it was accent. There was a rename of the brushes where we started converting brushes over to the name secondary, but we never attacked the styles yet. Let's copy this. I do wish it'd be really great to be able to gen like these styles. Like I keep having this dream of having a XAML level source generator. And I really, really want to build a XAML level source generator that can effectively run. Oh, thanks for the follow Space Ninja. But I want a XAML level source generator that processes the XAML files before the XAML compile. Like you can't use the C# source generators because by the time you get down to the C# compiler, the XAML compile is already executed. So you're too late in the pipeline. But like things like this, where this string is ripe for being wrong, I would love to be able to like slap something in here that says, hey, this should be the name of the reference style. That's what I want to put in. I effectively want like a name of-ish thing in here. What I really want. But as far as I'm aware, that doesn't exist. And I keep getting tempted to build it. I'm resisting temptation. You know what? Let's do this. I kind of like. Some people like nesting the content. This is so much shorter. Collapse a couple lines. Let's see. Let's see here. So this goes to secondary. Let's see. Move you up. Move you up. Move you up. I lost my place. Let's collapse buttons. Buttons are done. Cards. Most of these. And I would also like, that's part of why I would love to have a migration tool for people to be able to run. Because sometimes these renames, you're always balancing the idea of, well, how important is it to rename it versus versus getting functionality out to people, because renames are not easy to ingest. Like, they are not simple, and they oftentimes cause people a lot of headache and heartburn. And if there's not good motivation for it, sometimes it's better to just leave a semi-poor name. In this case, because I'm about to do the major brush refactor on 5.0, I kind of want all of these things to flow together. Because there's a concept of a broken window syndrome. Like, if you have both names in the library, somebody who goes to contribute then has to know which one to pick, which one's the new one, which one's the old one. And broken windows then just kind of keep multiplying. Whereas if everything is named the same and lines up, it makes it very easy, and anything that's different stands out like a sore thumb and is more likely to get fixed. I'm getting really good at typing the word secondary, which is good. Also, autocode helps. Okay, so and we put in a lot of these things. But I also think that the name secondary when the other one's primary makes a lot of sense. Bum, 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 bum. There's the dialogues. Do I want to try to attack the commands at the same time? I don't really want to. I don't think I want to attack those. Those are probably, because we're going to change up the theming stuff. This one's interesting. That's just display. It's interesting that we did that and then didn't change it. For the tooltip reference with the style name, a binding converter could work for the tooltip, taking in an element name as a self-reference and generate a string with the type name, the name of the style resource. I guess that's true. That is true, because you could, yeah, because you could do a binding with a converter, do a relative source binding, and do relative source self to go through and grab it. It's not a bad idea. Yeah, at least in that case, that would work rather well. That is an excellent idea, actually. Probably worth going through and building out, because I kind of want that now myself. Okay. I think we are almost done on this one. Text accent. Yeah, we're just gonna see this one I'm torn on. Maybe I should leave that one as accent, because this one is specifically related to the brushes, and I'm not taking those on until 5.0. Let's leave that one as accent. These ones are all bindings. This is all around the palette selector. We're gonna leave those ones around. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. These ones are styles. Now, why is this one failing to resolve? Secondary toggle button. Did I not type it correctly? Look at that. Because I didn't do it right. Hopefully I would have caught that one reviewing the code, but go. Secondary toggle button. Is that not? We just did this. Oh, I see. I did actually. Wow, I did botch that. There. Okay, that goes like that. That goes like that. Now you should be happy. Build real quick. Note to self, we're going to come back to the toggles page and retest here in a moment. Because this should... Okay, so... There. Okay, find. We took care of that one. This should be secondary. Secondary. That. Anything here. Secondary. 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 Those are all done. That's toggles. And we just have a couple of these. Secondary, secondary. 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 Oh, this one's commented out, but we'll let that go for now. Okay, so let's give this guy a shot. And we're just going to rip through this real quick and make sure we didn't break anything. So, backing up, pages in question. I'm just going to move this to the side so I can keep the list running. 1 second, I got to adjust it so I can actually see it. Okay, buttons page first. Okay, specifically keeping an eye on all the green ones. Find cards. Most of these are going to blow up immediately because they're static resources on the styles. So I'm not real concerned if it loads. Chips look fine. Color zone. Nope, that's the wrong thing. Let's try that again. There. Okay, dialogues. And that button there. That. Oh, that's a breakpoint. Cancel. Cancel. Let's see. That's good there. That's good there. Roar host. Also that button. Okay. Group boxes. Group boxes. Secondary. Secondary. Good, good, good. Navigation rail. Secondary. Secondary. Okay. Snack bars. Snack bar. Secondary. Okay. Toggles. Good. Problematic ones. Good, good, good. Good, good. Okay. Okay, so I think that's going to do it. We'll turn this guy back up to big mode. Okay, so we're going to just quickly review the changes here. So, oh, I guess we didn't check the transition demo. Should do that. Okay, now we're good. Not real concerned about most of the demo app, given that those all converted. I do want to check these and just be real detailed on what we did. Action secondary toggle button. Action accent toggle button. Good. Switch accent toggle button. Switch secondary toggle button. This is one of the other things that I am somewhat looking to change in the 5x range. I don't know if it'll hit 5.0 or not, but the naming scheme for a lot of these end up being very long strings that are hard to manage. Just like the naming proposal for the brushes to basically put dots so that there's some semblance of a hierarchy to them. I kind of want to do the same thing with the styles, just to keep things organized. So that's just adding tag, 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 tag. So that one we didn't do anything but adding comments. Secondary checkbox, accent, accent, checkbox. Good. Secondary checkbox, accent, checkbox. Good. List box, secondary list box item, accent list box, oh, navigations. Okay, good, good, good. Navigation secondary list box, not the item. Navigation accent list box. Good. Filter chip secondary list box item. Filter chip accent list box item. Filter chip secondary list box. Filter chip accent list box. Good. Filter chip secondary outline list box item. Filter chip accent outline list box item. Filter chip secondary. Filter chip accent. Good, good, good. Chip accent list item. Secondary list item. Chip accent list. Yep, that's right. Choice chip secondary outline list box item. Choice chip accent outline list box item. Choice chip secondary outline list box. List box. Good. Pop up. Loading action. Accent pop up box. Good. Radio button. Secondary radio button. Accent radio button. Choice chip secondary radio button. Choice chip accent radio button. Choice chip secondary outline radio button. Accent outline. Action. Good. Switch secondary toggle button. Switch accent toggle button. Good, 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 good. Okay. Heading new secondary styles, which will eventually place accent styles. The accent styles will continue to exist but will likely be deleted in the 5.0 release. Let's see, rename, push, sure, do that. And then, oh, that's right, we can't straight pull request again. We'll need to bug that. Try merge queue. Ooh. That sounds cool. What is this? Pull request merge queue, public beta, February 8th. Oh, this is today. Well. And open source organizations. Hey, we're an open source organization. That sounds cool. Ooh, Justin Bieber. You are basically on the mark. But we'll jump to that here in just a second. I want to merge this, and then I was going to jump to the pull request. Huh. Before the music, we're often required to update their pull request branches prior to merging to ensure the changes wouldn't break the main branch. Oh, this is clever. Yeah. I don't know if this is that big of a deal. So this is more important when you have a lot of people contributing. So this is a common problem that occurs. So let's back up and talk about what the problem is that this aims to solve. So you open a pull request. Oh yeah. So if in case for people who weren't here before, the brain teaser in question that's being referenced, I'll just drop a link for it. Let's see. We'll come back. We'll come back to analyzing it here in a minute. But here is the repo that I'm starting to put brain teasers in, and the one in question for tonight is this one. Okay. But this guy, so the idea here is if you've got a repository and you're doing pull requests, build verifications. If two people submit pull requests at the same time, the builds kick off, they run the branches, they validate all the test pass, you're good, right? So you get the little green check mark, you hit, okay, merge. Well, the problem is those pull request branches ran before the other pull request merge. So the first one that came in, that's fine. Its PR build is actually reflective of what that PR would be like on the branch. The problem is if any other changes get in front of you, your PR verification isn't really accurate. It's probably okay, but there's plenty of instances where it can break. And typically the workaround for this is there is a setting that and I may not be able to find off the top of my head. There is a setting that requires branches be up to date before merging. I'm trying to remember where it is. But effectively, it mitigates the problem by saying, well, okay, I know we run the CI pipeline at the point you open the PR, but before we're going to let you click that merge button, what we really want you to do is go through and update your branch, rebase, merge, whatever, and then that way it re-triggers the CI. That way you have a valid build that actually indicates that the green check mark does align with what it's going to be like when it merges. This cool little queue idea somewhat solves that problem, because if you know this, if you know that somebody else is going to merge ahead of you, then you run into the problem of, well, why am I doing my CI build? Yeah, I need to do it, but then I'm going to be out of date, and then I'm going to have to do it again. And it ends up just being a waste of compute power. So I would not be surprised to find out that GitHub did this to try to lower the demand on some of the GitHub action agents, because let's be honest, there's a lot of them running doing a lot of stuff, especially their free tier is very generous. But this ends up making your branches more efficient because one, it may be a hit on their compute power, but it also slows down your development cycle. Like if I have to wait for my CI build to finish and then somebody merges and then I gotta wait for another one, like it's much more efficient to queue those things up in order, run them once, and then merge. Right? So this is kind of cool. I'm gonna have to play with this. I don't know if it's overly relevant for I don't know if it's overly relevant for the material design project. There's not usually a lot of conflicts in the PRs. There's also it's also not that busy. Like it's yeah, you'll note here increased velocity for your busiest branches. The thing is, if your branch isn't that busy, eh, eh. And why does their blog I want to turn on dark theme for the blog. Anyway, okay. Okay, thank you. Rename accent. This guy we want to do. This guy we want to put in 4.8, and we definitely want to label him release notes. Enhancement, he needs to be in the release notes. Create pull request. Okay. And then we're just going to enable auto merge. So as long as everything passes, we'll be good to go. They should all pass. There should be no issues. Everyone should be happy. Huzzah. Okay, with that, brain teaser time. So, repo was linked. I've done these brain teasers the last several streams, and my intent is to start. Is to start actually putting these things up on this repo where other people can go play with them. Because as fun as it is to just see me do them here, I kind of felt like this might be a little bit nicer, especially so people can play with code, type it. People like cloning codes or cloning and looking at stuff. The other thing is I'm planning on putting out short YouTube videos, like 5 minutes ish, just walking through the brain teaser and explaining the problem as well as my solution to it. Some of these may have more than one solution. I'll just say that. With code, there's oftentimes more than one way to do things. Some ways are better than others, but like especially some of these things, like I know I've got some brain teasers sitting on my other monitor where I put them out to some colleagues thinking there was only one answer, and they came back with multiple working solutions. I went, oh, okay, okay. There's more than one. There's more than one right answer. So in this case, tonight's one is a spot the bug problem. So if we come over here, this is the spot the bug problem. So this value holder class is wrong, and will throw an exception. Throw an exception if used. So the question is, what exception is thrown and why? And kind of for bonus points, how would you fix it, right? And it's the how would you fix it is always kind of subjective because the right fix really depends on the context of, how is this thing used? Like, what is the right fix? So I'll give it just a moment. If people, for anyone who wasn't here at the beginning of the stream, if you want to take a quick gander at it and take a look, I think Justin Bieber got it pretty close to on the mark. So if you don't want any spoilers, hit the pause button real quick. 3, 2, 1. Okay. So explanation of the problem and the solution. So the first thing to note is this values dictionary is of type string object. So the values that are being put into the dictionary here, this is a reference type, a string. This is an int, and this is a date time. The latter two items are both structs. And if we look at the hint actually includes some unit tests. And actually, I'm going to cheat. Well, no, we'll copy it in and then we'll move forward. So if we drop in some unit tests, what's going to happen is 2 of these unit tests will pass, and one of them is going to throw the exception. Right. So the question being, you can see all of these things just call the constructor and then call one of the get methods. So the question is, which of these is likely to throw an exception? And if we run the tests, Where did my test go? Ding. Here we are. And you doc, stay. So expand it out, expand it out, expand it out. So get number throws an invalid cast exception. So the question to the first part of it is what exception is thrown? An invalid cast exception. And specifically it calls out unable to cast int32 to type system decimal. And so the important thing to note here is that when you type just a raw number literal by itself, without doing anything to it, it's going to be an int. If you include a decimal point, like 0.0, you now get a double. And it doesn't really matter if we slap the .0 on the end of it, it's still going to end up being an exception. I'm going to switch here. On my brain teasers repo, there is also a corollary or a corresponding solution branch. So if you want to see the answer, and I only get some credit for the answer because, frankly, Copilot tried to write most of it for me, the little cheater. But so specifically this comment here about when you go through and do a cast like this int here, what's actually happening, because this is of type object, is the value has to be unboxed. So going from a non-reference type here into a reference type container is the concept of boxing variables in C#. So this date time also gets boxed as well. The important thing though is for unboxing, the runtime is going to check very specifically to make sure that, where's the unboxing? It is going to check the object instance to make sure that it is a boxed value of the given value type. So when you are unboxing on your way back out, you have to come out basically in the same shape that you went in, even though it may be perfectly valid to do like a numeric cast from one value to another. So for example, from a long to an int, you can do a hard cast that way. You may get an overflow exception if it's a big value, but you know, if it's a -1 or a 42 or whatever, that you can get away with it. But when unboxing, you can't just straight cast. That's no longer a cast operation. It must do an unbox first. So oftentimes you'll end up seeing weird stuff like this, right? Where, okay, I can get to an int, or actually this, yeah, this is fixing it. So if we go here, decimal, right? So I can come out to an int and then come to a decimal and then be fine. So if we then run the test, then it goes green. And the key part here is this one is not the same as a straight cast. It's an unboxing operation. So one of those fun things just to think about when you see the type name parens, it may not always be an explicit cast operator. Depends on the operand on the right. You could be doing an unboxing operation. So that's the brain teaser for today. Boxing, unboxing of types. This one brought to you by a bug that actually cropped up in a production app where it was being shoved into a dictionary and then being unboxed as the wrong type, and app went boom. And then we followed the smoking stack trace right to the gun and fixed the problem. So the question of what is the correct fix obviously depends on context, how this is being used. Does this method need to return decimal? Should it just be returning an int? Hard to say just from this little bit of context, but I would accept any fix that makes the unit test go green. Let's put it that way. If the test goes green, the fix is valid. Because without more context, it's hard to say what the correct answer is. Maybe the solution is just don't box in a dictionary. That'd fix it too, but again, context with everything. Okay. With that, thank you everyone for coming and hanging out. Like I said, I'm going to just spend a quick moment. If you aren't following me on YouTube, the brain teaser videos, I'm planning on starting to get those recorded and posted. I'm hoping to have the first one done before my next stream. I'm probably going to record more than one, but then queue them up so that they release like once a week. And then, like I said, I've got, I think, probably 4 or 5 more brain teasers that I want to add into that repo. So if you find them exciting and interesting, let me know. If you come up with any that you think would be fun to add, feel free to drop an issue on that repo. I'm happy to accept pull requests or bringing things in. Just be aware, I probably won't accept pull requests wholesale because I have to set up the branches appropriately. But pull requests are welcome. I just might end up having to move some commits around and that kind of thing. Not a big deal in my opinion. So just know that your pull request probably won't have the green button clicked, but I'll poach your commit and do that kind of thing. So with that, I'm going to tell everyone thank you for coming and hanging out. Happy coding. We'll see everyone next time.